In this episode, we discuss the front row. That is my community that I am launching for my brothers, Muslim men. If you're interested at all in that, if it piques your interest, if you want to become an action-taking man of impact, then go to the link in the description and you can find out everything you need to know there. Enjoy the episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Mind Heist 191. Bro, did you, it's a bit personal, it's a bit,
I don't mind answering personal stuff, you know that. No, you know me. I'm open book.
Did you line your beard up?
I went to the barbershop yesterday.
Okay, and he lined it up?
Yeah, and my mustache.
With a razor blade?
Both.
Or strings?
No.
Not string?
No.
Because it looks string level.
No.
Maybe it's because it was just done.
No, maybe, it was yesterday.
So what's the combination of what?
Things. Oh, it was like a cutthroat razor and like a machine.
Oh, a machine, okay. What do you mean I'm surprised? I got attention to detail, bro. Because I'm my conscientious level is very high, so kind of comes with the package. Yeah. You know, I think only once in my life, and out of all countries, like it wasn't in the UAE. In the UAE, is this lining up with the string thing extremely common, right? What's it called? Threading. It's called threading, right? Yeah.
There you are. So
everyone does it over there. But the guy did it to me in the UK, actually, in East London. I think I might have even asked him to do it. I might have even asked him to do it. I was like,
it's weird, isn't it? Stuff like that is just. Have you ever had that like complex of like, I don't know if this is acceptable right now. Like yesterday, he put beard oil in my beard, and I'm notorious for not putting beard oil, anything in any product in my beard whatsoever. I really should. I was trying to brush it before I went there yesterday, and it was a problem. Like I was very knotted. I'm very bad at looking after my beard. And then, he just out of nowhere just started putting. No barber's ever done that to me ever. Started doing that, and then he was literally doing it for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, there's some grown man like sticking his fingers in my beard. This feels really weird. Like this shouldn't be happening. I was about to pause and be like, don't worry, I'll do it. Don't worry. But no, it did get me thinking. And then I went on a whole like tangent in my mind of like masculinity and what's appropriate and where the lines get drawn, and the cultural differences between what's acceptable in one environment and not acceptable in another environment. Like outside of that room, if I was to tell you, Ameen, can you put some beard oil in my beard? It'd be a bit weird. But in a barbershop, it's completely acceptable. Anyway, I had a whole.
Where's the guy from?
Kurdistan.
We
had a whole conversation about that, actually, about where he's from and his family and marriage and all sorts of stuff. And the thing is, you don't around here, like you don't know if someone's Muslim. You don't want to assume. So the conversation kind of slowly opens up and you start sharing more and more about it. Like out of the blue, he comes out and goes, "Are you Salafi?" And I was like, it might be, depends what you mean by that. You know what I mean? Like, I said it means different things to different people. I said, I'm Muslim, if that helps. Barbershop small talk is odd. But he was talking about marriage. He wanted to get married back home.
Is he Kurdistan like Iraq or Turkey?
I don't know. I'm assuming Iraq, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. To be honest, it could be Turkey, actually. But he's talking about, he must be 25. Yeah, I think he's 25.
So he's fresh, Shani. He was not born in the UK.
No, I think he left Kurdistan at 10, went to Germany, and then has been in the UK for about four. I'm putting him on. Anyway, he's never going to see this. He's like 4 years or so. It was interesting because I brought my kids there a couple weeks before to get their haircut. So he's already seen my kids and stuff. So he knew I was married, knew I had kids, etc. But he was just talking about wanting to get married but not finding the right person here and all this stuff. And actually, he'd never want to marry someone from here. He'd want to marry someone from back home, etc., etc. And I was just like, yeah, well, maybe for you, because you spent 10 years over there, then that aligns with you. For other people, it doesn't always align. Doesn't mean there's no good people in the UK. I'm sure you'll find somebody that, matches up to your ideals and your et cetera, et ceteras. Yeah, man. I don't usually make small talk with barbers. They usually ask me what I do for a living and all that stuff. I just give them some fake information. Like, I never tell people the truth, bro. So yeah, man. I don't know how we got onto this. Yeah, sticking your hands in another man's beard. Sticking your hands in another man's beard.
I think it's quite normal.
I don't know, man. I mean,
have you ever? This is a funny question. Yeah. Have you ever put suntan lotion on someone?
Oh, my kids. Yeah, put on my kids. That's about it.
A grown man.
No, not a grown man.
No, I have.
Not I can think of. Yeah, you probably have. Yeah.
What do you mean? I probably have. What does that mean?
Bromance and all that. Speaking of bromance,
it's just
you got to look after your ikhwa, innit? Which is a nice segue actually into what we want to talk about today. Looking after your brothers. Let me share my screen. Oh, you know me, I don't mess. What is this? Apparently, I've got some pop-ups somewhere that are hidden. Dodgy pop-ups. So let me not share that tab. I don't know where that is. I've got like a football betting pop-up that must have come up. Anyway, whatever. I'll deal with that when I deal with that. That would have been problematic. It's probably because I went on a torrent website earlier.
I thought pop-ups were over. It was a thing of the past.
Well, I had ad blocker on, but I paused it yesterday for some reason because I was doing Facebook ads, and it was like, oh, you need to stop the ad blocker. So I had it unpaused, and then I went on a torrent site, and then I realized, oh no, I need to resume it. So I resumed it, and then when I went to share the screen, there's two pop-ups. Oh, here they are. They're down here. Oh, there we go. Got rid of those. Right. Sorry. Yeah, I'm distracted. Ameen Omar, the front row is coming soon. Launching 1st of March 2023. At the time of recording, that is 6 days away.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know how many days are in this month. Oh, it's 28. Actually, even less. What's this? What's this cryptic stuff going on? Is people getting emails about this stuff? The Telegram was buzzing.
People getting emails. Yeah, as if it's private.
Something's rumbling.
If this wasn't my thing, my page, what would you think of this? Like, is it too vague? Like, what?
I don't know. Let's read it. To be honest, I already know what it was, so I'm just playing dumb now. So I don't think I actually read through this stuff because I already knew what it was. But for the wider audience, the mind high stirrers, let's read it. So imagine an exclusive community of Muslim men that... Wait, pause. This is for audio listeners. This is like a website / newsletter that came out, got sent out from the Ameen Omar headquarters. So imagine an exclusive community of Muslim men that focuses exclusively on helping Muslim men become high impact men of action, earn the respect of those around them, and get more out of life. Bullet point 2, where everyone's aligned towards the same goal: high performance success in the dunya and the akhirah. Number 3, where we're all on a mission to destroy procrastination, inconsistent action taking, loneliness, and a lack of drive. Number 4, where the focus is on taking real action and collaboration with like-minded Muslim men, not long, boring videos. Number 5, that feels like hanging out with friends, but with real-life results. Number 6, using the best expert secrets, daily accountability, an Islamic perspective, and the power of elite brotherhood. I can't remember what number. 7, to turn the levels up in finances, worship, health, and marriage. And number 8, that is run by Ameen Omar, successful online entrepreneur, coach, and author, and best friend. I added that last bit on. Join the wait list. Absolutely. Yeah. There we go. So by the time people hear this, it will already be out. Correct?
It will be open with more information available, yes.
Okay. What in the world is going on, Ameen? What have you spawned here? Talk to me.
From reading that, what do you think? Oh, you already know, innit? Because I told you more than just what's on this page already.
Yeah, you owe me royalties.
Yeah, so Oh yeah, it would already be out. So basically, I've been thinking about, since I wrote the book, the natural consequence of writing the book and then focusing on the YouTube channel in that same direction of, all the content, all the messaging, all the videos is all for Muslim men, like 20 to 30-year-old kind of age range. Naturally, I was going to do something, how do you say it? Do something more serious, more
Practical.
impactful, more whatever you want to call it. So this is basically it. I considered a lot of things, and I was talking to my business partners over this, because like we work together in the business, but then also we kind of, we give each other opinions and feedback on other things as well, right? Like we have our own projects and stuff. And they were like making fun of me, saying like, you've been thinking about this for like a year, like just do it already. To be very American, do it already,
Just do it.
So I was thinking of so many things, bro. I was just fundamentally thinking like, what is the problem that these guys that I'm, and inshallah dedicated to helping, what is their big problems? So actually, bro, a year ago, maybe a bit more, I actually mentioned on my Heist that I want to speak to these guys. And I said, you can go to this link and book a 15-minute call with me. And I just talked to many of them, 10, 15, 20 of them, to get an idea, okay, what is the problems? So I did that exercise. And then I even did it again more recently with another hypothesis of what I was guessing that the problem would be. And I considered like doing the whole marriage thing, helping people with marriage. Like that's a very big problem. And sometimes I still think like that would be good, yeah. But at the same time, it's a bit of a tricky one. And then another big problem is, it's actually it's a combination of a lot of things. It's loneliness. It's, let me put myself over here. It's, no, you're usually on the left, so, okay. So, yeah, loneliness, like having high ambitions, but not really doing much in the end. So not like taking action, or you get hyped up and then you just fall off. And some people they have low even drive or motivation, or low standards. They're not aggressive in like what they're even trying to do with their life. So, that kind of comes together in this, which is, it's using brotherhood, it's using community, it's using peer pressure, it's using even shame to drive ourselves forward. And I do see it actually, as myself included, like you guys drive me and I'm driving you and we're all driving each other. And this is something that has benefited me so much in my life. Whatever you want to call it, community, networking, peer pressure, friendship, accountability, brotherhood. It's all the same thing, and I think it's extremely powerful, and not many people talk about it. I could easily have been one of those guys who wants to start a business, but then after a week falls off, and then a couple months later get hyped up again and then fall off. I could have been that guy, but when I started the business I'm running today, I had two business partners who, maybe it's partly because they're like older than me. Like I felt I can't let them down. Like I can't just be like not doing the work. Like we're all agreeing to do the work. So I showed up, Yanni. I showed up, and because I showed up and we all showed up, we all driving each other, we got stuff done, right? And we've never kind of had a time where we're slacking, because, I eat from his work and he eats from the other guy's work, and we're all relying on each other in that way. And we even have our own little accountability kind of circles or sessions where we're driving each other as well in different goals in life. So the accountability element of pushing each other is one thing, but also the rubbing off on each other. Have you ever experienced that, where it's like you're just around good brothers, and then you start thinking, like, for example, when I went to Hajj, I was in the group I was with, like some of the guys I got closer to, I was spending a lot of time with, they're all Huffaz Quran. So then that naturally makes you think like, well, what about me, Lars? Why am I a flop? Yeah. So it wakes you up to what's possible. It pushes you, you raise your standards. So whatever the effect that is called, that's a very big thing. And the negative way goes as well. A lot of people, the friends they have are not on their wavelength. A lot of their friends, they don't aspire to what they aspire to, right? So it's about having like-minded people. So there's accountability, there's rubbing off on each other. There's networking as well, you know? Oh, I got a job here. Oh, you know, this opportunity. I live in this place. Let's link up, whatever it is. So these are like really, really powerful, more powerful than, for example, pure discipline or even just for pure information. Action taking and quick action taking is so powerful. So yeah, that's why it's a community, and it will have instruction from me. It will have coaching from me. But I just think the thing that excites me about it and makes it special is that it's a brotherhood. Yeah.
So tangibly, what does it look like? Is it a online kind of group? Are you planning any kind of anything more than that, or anything structured or long term?
Yeah.
What are your sort of plans?
Well, when people join, it's going to be like a year's commitment, which is very important because when things are online, it's easy for people to just not pay attention afterwards. So people commit for a year and they're in, and they need to make this work for them. And by making it work for them, they make it work for everyone else. I want to make it a bit flexible in terms of what it can become. But right now what it is we have a common portal where we're all together. That's where we can communicate with each other. That's where we're going to host the calls every week. That's where the bit of instruction I do put out will be hosted there as well. So that's like the hub. Everything's in one place for the hub. And it will be like that community platform. It'll be calls every week. And it will be the specific strategy, because if we're going to be on the same wavelength and working in a community together, we need to be using the same methodology.
Yeah.
And we need to be speaking the same language. So I will be laying out what that method is, and then we're all using that method. And then on top of that, actually, the fourth element, which is really cool, is we're going to have basically everyone will have accountability coach. So meaning that they will get coaching from me every week, but every day they're going to be doing check-ins. And if they don't check in, they're going to be chased and they're going to be reminded like to get it done, or to at least put in that I missed it this day, this and that. So depending on your goal, obviously that's part of the process, coming up with your goals and then breaking that down into habits and all of that. And we're gonna get amazing results, inshallah, in whatever areas people are interested in. And like it's written on that page, the main areas would be your health, your wealth, your ibadah, your relationships, your marriage. Sometimes that could be included, like communication could be included in that. So that's what I'm looking for, bro. Another reason like where this came from is I've been trying to think of like what I want to do beyond like have a business, make money. Like, what do I want to do? Some people, I don't know, like Ali Dawah, he wants to do YouTube Dawah, right? He wants to make people aware of Islam and the different arguments. And then there'll be other people who, they want to bring people to Islam who are not Muslim. And then other people like, yeah, I want to focus on Muslim kids growing up with like confidence about Islam or whatever. People pick their thing. Some people do charities.
Yeah.
So I thought, right now, at least what I'm thinking is, I want to become the best leader I can be. When I say leader, I mean like leadership skills, have leadership skills. Those leadership skills, they help you in your personal stuff, in your family stuff, and then wider than that, being able to lead other people. And I want to become a leader, and then I want to develop leaders. So if I could develop, like, even in my lifetime, depends how we define leader, but top level people, if I could like develop 20, minimum like 20 of them, that's what I want. And I was thinking, well, what's the vehicle for doing that? And it was always like coaching. But I think this is even better because it's coaching plus community, which is even better, I think. So that's, like tangibly, that's what it is. But yeah, the reason behind it is I've always been thinking, and we spoke about it on the podcast, that we change mostly, like for most of us, what's in reach for us is to change things from the ground up, from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And I always believed in a quality over quantity approach. And so I didn't want to make like a course for £100, £200 and just try and sell thousands of them or whatever. And knowing that deep down, like a lot of people won't maybe watch it, they won't take action from it. I was like, no, I want to do quality, and I want to like really affect few people, but in a deep way. And as far as I understand, like that's the way that the Prophet ﷺ started his dawah. When it was secret dawah, it was hand-to-hand combat of developing people, teaching people, the secret meetings or classes or whatever you want to call it that they had. It's development. And then the struggles they went to together, like the boycott and the hijrah and the this and that, they all went through that together and they developed and grew.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do, inshallah, together.
Sure.
Now, in the future, bro, because initially it's only open to a few people, but inshallah, I will grow it after that. But we just need to get the first lot in and set up a structure. And then from there, we can go like a beta kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But, when it grows, then the possibilities become even bigger in terms of what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially like everyone being on the same page. I think it's really cool, like what you can do with these things.
No, 100%. 100%. I mean, I think it's a really good initiative. We spoke about it prior. What I do like about it is that it's just, at least from the descriptive part that we've shared on the screen, there's no funny business that I'm reading, because anyone else would have just put all the buzzwords that I despise that I've actually muted on Twitter, just so I won't see those buzzwords anymore.
What are they?
Like, do you know what? I'll try and bring it up while I'm talking.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of words in there.
So
Actually, no, I can't because I muted certain people and I don't want to cause a commotion. But like buzzwords like, I don't know, red pill and alpha and Chad. Oh, I need to add alpha, actually. I need to add the alpha. I hate that word.
So lots of these tweets words with that word in don't show up.
Yeah, because it's getting too much, like, simp and this and that. And Muslims using those terms that really irk me, because we never needed them before and we don't need them now. And using certain terminology that is very, very closely, if not owned by, a particular type of non-Muslim ideology, we're just getting lumped in with that, and you don't know how much of that you've got in your heart now and you absorbed, right? So the furthest I'll go is masculinity, the furthest I'll go is femininity. Other than that, when we start moving into like, this is basically the accountability, and the thing I like about this is that at no point have you mentioned anything about women. And I'm not saying that because we're trying to exclude women from bettering themselves. What I'm saying is that the growth of men does not necessitate the attacking of women or attacking.
Of course, yeah.
So, but we're in a time, at least online, where to feel that we are men, we must attack the women that are trying to compete with men at every single moment. Oh, so masculinity is this and this and this, and then attack women that are doing this, attack feminism, attack. We're this, attack. It's like, well, you don't even need to do that. Let's not even, let's have honor for our brothers and sisters. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. We'll go into that another time. But to be honest, though, that could be to my detriment.
It depends on your view of how widespread those circles are, if you like, that way of thinking. So with me not mentioning that language, how many people am I missing out on, if you like, right? And my thinking is I don't miss out on that many. I think out of the Muslim men, like English speaking Muslim men out there, it's only like 10 to 20% who are aware of that stuff and interested in that stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure, but this is my educated guess.
Well, I think you create like these almost like pogroms, these groups that are swirling around in I don't know, deflection of any sort of self-responsibility and just blaming everyone and everything else for their situation, for the male condition. It's because society is doing this and they're effeminating us, and there's estrogen in the water, and there's women are competing for this, and they're not, they're making coffee for their bosses, but they won't make it for their husbands, and blah, blah, and everything's just deflective, right? Everything's deflective. And I'd never seen it on social media to that extent, 10 years ago. So I literally had enough. I couldn't open up Twitter without seeing it, and especially now that the algorithm's more throwing things that are recommended to you as opposed to what you follow. I honestly had to cleanse it, and it's much better now. But there were some figureheads, there were some spearheads of varying degrees, whether they were du'at, shuyukh, just average Joes, so to speak, that all needed to just get cleansed from my timeline because I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I think a lot of that is my privilege of being married and having kids and not having to worry about that and not having any resentment towards women because I don't have those issues. I fully appreciate that. I'm privileged in that sense. If I wasn't married, and like some of the people that will be on this cohort, if you want to call it, with you, they may be individuals that are struggling to get married, that haven't been able to get married in a long time for various issues, and they may have this, maybe they might come in with a victim mentality of it's their fault, it's everybody else's fault, it's, do you know what I mean? It's the women of today. You hear that a lot. I mean, we spoke about it in the barbershop. He was like, "Oh, women of today are like this and are like that, and blah blah blah." And I'm just thinking, yeah, but there's all sorts of women and there's all sorts of men. It's because there's there may be a vocal minority even of women that are a particular way. It doesn't mean they're all like that. And we see it. It's just running away from problem. It's just another way. It's another way that Western society has manifested this particular type of Muslim male to blame everything else apart from focusing on tying their own camel and doing something about themselves, what they can control, as opposed to focusing on what everybody else is doing around them. But anyway, what I did want to comment on is I like the flexibility. I like how it doesn't appear to be a rigid goal set, because the goal setting comes from the individual themselves. And we spoke a bit, didn't we, prior, about how everybody's going to come into this with their own particular goals. One of the goals that I had, which I shared with you, one of my main goals, maybe for the last 5 years, that is becoming way more tangible now, is similarly to what you've achieved, which is to attain a living predominantly online and move to Tunisia, and look after my family there. And now I've got more of a structured kind of idea of what that entails, whilst prior it was a bit more I don't know, a bit more airy and a bit more what does that look like and how would I walk towards it, but now I've got a time limit that I've kind of set for myself. I've got an actual tangible project I'm working towards, and I'm just trying to every day chip away at that, and achieve that bi'idhnillah, with the support of my family. And that's kind of what everybody knows I'm doing. So they're my accountability. My wife's my accountability. My family know what I'm doing. Let me try and head that way. And there's going to be a lot of brothers with that similar goal. It's every week. I was sitting with Musa Adnan and another brother a few weeks ago. And we were sitting having dinner, and we looked at each other and we said, you know what, in 5 years, all of us might not be here anymore, in the sense that we might have all left the UK, because everybody's got the intention to leave, right? And it's a growing thing. So you're going to find a lot of people that are after that as one particular goal that you've achieved, and you can help and you can assist and you can guide with. And it doesn't have to be just for Turkey. It can be for whatever country they want to go to. But a lot of the ways to get there are, there may be, a variety of ways to achieve that. But at the end of the day, once you know what that is, the way to it is actually just putting in the work and having someone to hold you accountable for the daily steps it takes to reach that goal.
And I think what I underplay about myself is that I'm naturally interested in development, behavior change, and these other things like these tech trends or business trends or economic trends, this and that, hijra trends, societal trends. I'm interested in that naturally. So naturally, I'm talking to people and I'm getting insight about it. And now in this community, there's one place where you can just go and we can discuss that openly. And I'm not holding back. You know, like in a video that I make for free, I might not be able to include all the details, or I might not want to include all the details. If you book a call with me, a coaching call, you know, it might be just one off and it's not enough. Coaching calls are expensive, you know, they add up. But this is like you get like a lot of access to me and then everyone else there, but it's like way more reasonably priced than like the coaching or the whatever. So so I think it's cool. And I would, like, I half have this, like I said, with my business partners, I half have it, right? But I think like when you get more people on, and I would love to have like, you know, like the more people that join, and there will always be a cap on how many can be in there because, you know, we need to, I would like it where everyone kind of knows each other a little bit at least. But yeah, imagine like there's one guy, he's like, he's sick at his whatever, he's been through that whole weight loss thing, right? Let's say people want to lose weight, right? He's been through it, right? Or someone else is, it's not that he's on the weight loss, he's like jacked and he knows how to go about that, right? And this guy's working in this field and this guy's got multiple wives and this guy's, and the people have different experiences. And then whenever I'm like, you know, I'm thinking of doing X, and then a guy's like, oh yeah, I did X, you know, like this stuff is really good. This stuff is really good.
You know, think back, I think you're at a good age now to do that. You're at the, I don't know, different people argue what middle age is, but I honestly think 30 is like kind of only because my life is, because my dad died at 66. It shifted a lot of my perspective.
So 33 is half of your life.
And I'm, you know, I was looking, I had an old friend of mine. I went to the graveyard recently, and a brother I used to know, or you know, I sort of knew, died and was buried next to my dad. And he's my age. And then my friend's dad, I didn't even know had passed away, because he doesn't live locally, but his dad lives here. So I didn't know. I didn't have that connection. I went to visit the graveyard, and I saw a new grave, and it was my friend's father, who was a year younger than my dad, so 65. And I was just thinking, subhanAllah, so this brother in the middle is my age. My dad's on my right, 66. My friend's dad's on my left, 65. And I'm just thinking, there's a connection that you can have as a 30-year-old to an 18-year-old that you may not be able to have as a 40-year-old or a 45-year-old or a 50-year-old, because society moves so quickly now. I think an 18-year-old would very much benefit from somebody like you or somebody our age, because there's enough seniority to kind of say, listen, I've got a decade on you. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. My life is very different for you. You may be still in education. I've spent 10 years out, et cetera, et cetera. But you're not too far removed. That society has changed so much that you don't know what AI is, or you don't know what. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know,
you have to mention AI somewhere every episode.
Yeah, of course, just to let them know that this is all scripted. No, no. I was in the car with my sister the other day, and I've got exactly 10 years on her, so I'm 10 years older than her. But I was having a conversation with her about, you know, some societal stuff, some, you know, relatively deep stuff, and it was a good, solid, interesting conversation. But there's a level of seniority that I have, and she might respect my opinion about certain things more. But there's that thing that when it gets a bit too older, there are things you will take, no doubt. But I think the younger people feel a bit of disconnect. It's like, well, yeah, that was back in your time, not now. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think 30 seems to be a good age to reach those that are on the cusp of adulthood, on 18, etc. And I think those are the kind of people that, I mean, obviously this is going to be open to all ages. I believe people are going to be older than you that join, and people are going to be younger than you. But I think it is really valuable for those that are they've got their head screwed on at a young age, but they want that guidance. They want somebody to kind of watch over them, like, okay, I'm going into uncharted waters here. Am I doing the right thing? Like, what do you advise? Or can you, watch my back? I'm slacking on this, slacking on that. I need someone to shout at me, or someone who's isolated in their community or isolated where they live. There's plenty of this, we spoke about that experience on Mind Heist a lot of being maybe in a very low Muslim populated area, and having to only have an online sort of connection with people, and how impactful would that be? So I think it's a valuable resource, a valuable platform, valuable opportunity for those kind of people, for sure.
Yeah, and I think I always thought this before, the whole thing of like quality over quantity in terms of people and development, and like that whole thing of sitting at the feet of a scholar once a week, twice a week, versus watching that same scholar's YouTube series.
Yeah.
It's very different. And I wanted to make a real change on fewer people. And how do I do that and all of that? And this kind of model came about. So yeah, should be good. And like I said, there's a lot you can do. When you like pool ideas, or you pool resources together, or you pool manpower together.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's like aligned and on similar wavelength. Like, I don't even know. Like, I know there are going to be things that come that we can do that I don't even know yet,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
And that's pretty cool. Yeah.
100%. No, I think it's brilliant. I think, so people can go on, is it on your website, or how can they reach this?
So.
Well, there'll probably be, I'm assuming
I'll put a link in the description, because right now, when we publish this, it's not going to be. It's basically, I don't know the exact link because I haven't got it up yet.
No
but I'll put it in the description. But pretty much, if you go to that go.ameenomar.com, then it will go to the right place at the right time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know what's beautiful, bro, is I never. How do you say it? Because I'm not, this is not, most businesses start from a place of, how do I get money to do this full time? Or how do I get money to sustain myself, or whatever? This one for me was very much like I can take a year to work out the right way of doing stuff and get it right. And so what I like about this page that you took us through is almost everything on that page came from real people that I spoke to. And okay, I put something together, and then I'm like, okay, does that resonate? Is that good? Is that bad? And then I realized the page is mostly about the solution or the benefits. So then I asked them, if this page is the solution, what's the problem that it would solve? Because I wanted to just get cleared, like the problems people that I'm actually solving for people with this. So it's all coming from real people. And I think that, I guess from a marketing point of view, and just actually delivering results for people, sometimes you have to go to people and be like, what do you want? I want A. Okay, I'm selling A.
Yeah.
And a little bit of B would be good as well. Okay, I'm adding B, and just very simple, even this page, nothing fancy about the page at all,
Yeah, it's more about the content, isn't it? That's what I kind of said. There's no, it's like,
are you going to say Lamborghini, bro?
No, not at all, actually.
Bugatti?
No, I was listening to Freshly Grounded recently with Faisal and Yahya Rabi, and Faisal was talking about some really interesting concepts that I hadn't really spent a lot of time thinking about. But it was how, with the kind of culture of content culture these days, of like the stop scroll. Okay, so what can you do that is so outrageous to stop people scrolling? Okay, And then how far do we keep pushing that envelope, especially as Muslims? At what point do we start treading territory and waters that we shouldn't be on at all? We shouldn't be even in this arena. And it was an interesting one, how to manage that content, how to consume that content.
I'm actually I'm gonna watch that. I think
it was a very good one.
Listen to it, yeah.
Because Yahya Rabi, no doubt, brought it straight back to the Quran and Sunnah, right? But it was an interesting one because it made me think of we see how, obviously the internet and social media is predominantly run by non-Muslims. The content that's consumed is predominantly, the viral content is predominantly non-Muslim. They dictate the algorithm. They dictate the trending audio. They dictate the trending edits, how things are edited now, and so we see that, and we generally employ what we can of that into our content. Like, it used to be, stop scrolling, I need to tell you about something, and then now it's like a completely outlandish statement that someone with a beard might make. Visibly Muslim might say something like, I'm not even going to say it because I almost fell into this trap. I'm not saying it. But they'll say something about women, for example, right? And you're just like, what the hell? Why would he say that? And then you have to see what the context is. And no, actually, no, there is no context. It's just, and then you go on their page and you comment and suddenly you're embroiled all in this nonsense.
Are you talking about your Friday morning?
My Friday morning?
Is that what you actually did? What you're describing?
No, bro. I made it my mission now to not comment on anything, not to get involved in anything. Like 100% my mission. I've tried to not cleanse. What's the word? I don't know. Just completely filter my social media use, even Twitter. Like, I am not going to reply to anybody. I'm not going to. If anyone wants to talk to me, they can DM me. And I've already got enough people in my life. I don't need more. Do you know what I mean? I've got time for extra, and if I'm going to put something out, I want it to be something beneficial. That how many times have you seen somebody die? Right? Seriously, somebody has died, and you've gone on their social media, and what was the last thing they did? What was the last thing they posted? What was the legacy, if anything, that they left behind? And you'll find some good Muslim brothers, they would have left something really beneficial. And because that person has died, everyone around him, everyone that was following him, everyone that's connected will share that stuff because they know it could be a sadaqah jariyah, or everybody share. Like, I remember one brother, subhanAllah, one of the last things he posted was like a Quran recitation, and people were just sharing it because he passed away, sharing it. I was like, imagine that legacy. My mother is in Tunisia at the moment, and she's sending us videos on WhatsApp of all like the fruit that is available now in our garden. All this stuff that was planted with my dad, oranges, like the barakah, subhanAllah, like the tree is full of oranges, and like not just the oranges that are like, they don't taste very good, but like proper, like healthy, delicious oranges at the moment, and a vast array of other fruits and stuff. And I'm just thinking, and there's a cow at the moment. We've got a little cow. I don't think it's ours. I think it's a neighbour's. There you go. I just had one as well, subhanAllah. Yeah,
but this is a mandarin, isn't it? Or...
Oh well, yeah.
You're talking about proper oranges, they're not mandarins.
Yeah. There's I think it's a neighbour's cow that we bring into our land to eat the grass and the weeds and stuff. But even that, I consider as a sadaqah jariyah because that's all my dad's land, and that grass wouldn't have grown there without the water and everything that my dad kind of. So I'm just thinking, subhanAllah, look, this is crazy. This is an incredible amount. And my kids are getting older, and it's easy for my kids to see me and my legacy that I leave behind, and they can look at my pictures when I was their age, let alone my tweets or my whatever. I went on a thingy. What did I go on? I had to access some old email address, and I was finding emails from 2008 and before that suddenly just blasted me back to that time. I was like, I completely forgot about this. Oh my God, look how I used to talk, or look how I used to. The footprint that's left behind, essentially, what I'm trying to say is one that isn't always so easy to get rid of. So you need to be really conscious of what you leave behind, conscious of the petty arguments you get involved in. Obviously, this is only a smidgen of what it's going to be like Yawm al-Qiyamah when you just review your deeds again, right? At least now you've got the capacity to look yourself right now. Like, you can go back in time and look at your online footprint. So if you are going to be online, then I'm trying to be a bit more conscious about what I do, what I leave behind. If I'm going to say something, I want it to have at some level of value. I don't want to reply to any. I don't want to. I don't want to reply to any controversy or any sort of drama, because it's essentially all it is somebody's pooped on the floor and you've just gone there and stepped on it, and then you've gone and stepped on someone else's carpet and stepped on your neighbor's carpet and stepped on your best friend's carpet, and you just spread that crap everywhere, quite literally. So I don't want any of that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be part of that.
You reminded me of that video you made of your son, where he said, what did he say? He said, I like that video. It was good.
It's hilarious.
What did he say? I beat Shaitan because I didn't do a poo in my pants.
Bro, I love that
Sick.
video, bro. Oh, do you know
Savage.
what? Should we play it? Let me see if I find it. I don't know if I've got it.
Savage.
But some people might not have seen it. I was in two. Oh, here it goes. It's right here. I was in two minds about making that, but I'll put some context in a little bit. I wonder if you can. Would you be able to hear my audio? I don't know.
Probably. You mean on the computer?
Share tab audio.
Yeah. Here we go.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for saying wa alaikum wassalam. This video I'm going to be showing you how to be good. I know everything about the God. The God created Shaitan for a reason, to have a test to see if he's good or bad. But he's bad. So he doesn't go. If really bad, then he gives us bad gender points.
Bad gender points.
Hate Shaitan.
We hate you.
He's stupid. And I can wait him for a test to be good. If he be's good, or if he be's bad. If he be's bad and doesn't get any gender points, even us when he tells us to do bad things. And he tells us to do mean things to our brothers and our mummies and our daddies, and even be mad at them. My dad, yeah, he did go to Australia. But my dad's friend did, who's Dr. Hamza. He forget about my dad. How is that rude? He forget about it.
We had Hamza on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I
Africa.
defeated him once. How I defeated him once is when I actually when I did not do a poo in my pants. One was the greatest sister god. But even Mecca is so cool. I love it. And that's in New Zealand. So cool, and Australia. Every country is so cool. Even before you say that, I need to tell you. I laugh at you everywhere. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. So, a bit of context around that, because, I don't want to say the feedback like I'm trying to make a project here. It was just a random video that I put together, but everybody loved it, really. There was one person that was like, I don't understand this culture of having to put our children online and blah, 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 blah. I was like, do you know what? I checked his profile. I was like, mate, you're like 13. You don't get it. You won't get it. Just wait, you'll get there one day. No, but I think to be fair to that brother, I think I made it look like this was like a running project that I'm going to do. I said, like and subscribe. Do you know what I mean? But no, it's not. What it was is, believe it or not, it's completely nothing to do with us, me and my wife. So we've got an iPad that this iPad right here actually. That we got a few educational apps on it. So he's got his reading app and his maths app and some Islamic stuff that he does on here. But obviously it's an iPad, so he's got the capacity to just start filming videos. My wife, may Allah bless her, she's always teaching him stuff, about, well, we both are, but mostly my wife is going to be teaching him a lot about, the origins of life and Shaitan and Adam alayhi salam and everything, essentially. So I think she'd recently taught him a bit about, or refreshed his memory, the God, refreshed his memory about everything. And when she's, doing whatever she needs to do, he'll just grab that iPad. And what he did, I haven't got the whole video. So there was 5 videos in total, I think. And he's grabbed his iPad, and the full video, you'll see him. He walks up into his room. He's recording. He sets his iPad down. He goes and climbs on top of the bed, and then he starts talking. So that's what
Really?
he's done.
Oh, so
I was
you
gonna-
you didn't even film any of it. You just edited
So,
it.
yeah, I came back from work or something like that. I think I was at work, and my wife goes, "You need to watch it." So I was like, "What is it?" She gives me the iPad, and there's about 4 or 5 videos on there, and I was just laughing so much. I was laughing so much, but I wanted to share it with my family, but they were so long. I just thought,
Yeah.
there's no way I can just put up like a 20-minute video sent like on WhatsApp, whatever.
Yeah.
Let me. So I put them on my phone, and then I just started editing them together.
Highlight reel.
Whilst I was editing them together, I was like, oh, do you know what? I should caption this. And if I can blur him completely, this would be so funny online. That's exactly what happened. So, and then what he does have, which he likes to do, I upload a lot of his own videos on YouTube on a private thing so he can watch himself on TV and stuff. I don't know. He likes to do that. It's something he enjoys doing. But yeah, so it just shows you, subhanAllah. Yeah, I mean, he liked it, he enjoyed it, whatever. It's just the benefit of
you know what cracked me up at the beginning is some of the words, the way he says it, exactly the way you say it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose he's going to have that accent, isn't he? Whatever
Like
that accent may be.
Stupid.
Stupid.
Can't remember what else, but yeah.
So stupid is a word that we don't like to use in the house.
Oh.
However, he has come up with a way. Obviously, if he calls Shaitan stupid, he thinks he can get away with it.
Loophole, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, my wife might hear him say stupid, and she'll tell him off. She'll be like, "So, man, we don't say that in this house." And she goes, "No, but I was saying Shaitan is stupid." And then we're like, "Oh, well, so what do we do? Oh, Shaitan's not stupid. Oh, well, so he kind of boxes you in a corner, right?" No, absolutely. I mean, now that he's been homeschooled, he's got memories of school. And those memories of school, they often revolve around his experience of Islam in school. So his experience of having to hide his Islam in school or argue his Islam in school with his peers. Even at such a young age, 4 and 5, he would say something about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they would say, no, God, it doesn't exist, or God, whatever, right? And he's like, no, he does. But also there's a language difficulty there. For example, someone will say, oh, I'm the greatest, and he'll say, no, Allah's the greatest, stuff like that. I can't remember. I used the word the other day. I said something was the greatest. And then he goes, no, Allah is the greatest. I was like, oh, yeah, well. Yeah, at that age, subhanAllah. You know, even today in Jumu'ah, took him to Jumu'ah with me, and the way they do the khutbah here, they do an English khutbah at this particular masjid, and then the real khutbah begins, the Arabic one, right? So in between, when they did the English, I got my phone out, I can't remember, just to check something, and he's like nudging me. I'm like, what is it? And he points at this sign on the TV screen that says no phones. I was like, okay, fine. Put a phone down. So yeah, you've got to be really mindful, really mindful at that age.
Got to be on point.
Absolutely. But it's hard. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, with your, I don't know what has it got a name? Have you got a name? The front row. The front row. Apologies. Yeah. With that, one of the challenges you might have, or one of the challenges men have in general, is the trying to attain those not the extra goals, but trying to achieve your long-term goals as an extracurricular project outside of your day job, for example. So like, okay, after work, I need to really put some time aside to do this and this and this. But that also, the conflict there is that it takes away from the time that you may be able to spend with your children, right? Yeah. That's one thing I always struggle with. It's like, okay, I've got a job, from whatever to whatever. Obviously, I've got mandatory ibadah in there, as well as any sort of optional ibadah that I want to add on. And then I've got this side project, and I've got a time limit, and I want to achieve this goal of mine as quickly as possible. Because the longer I leave it, the harder it may become, or I'm going to miss on X, Y, Z. Everybody's got different. One of the things for me is like my grandmother is very, very old. May Allah give her a long life. My father's mother. So one of the ticking time things on my head is like, I want to be there before she passes away. So at least she knows that I meant what I said when I said I wanted to come and look after her. Do you know what I mean? And that's constantly on my mind. That to now, like, I can't even see it. Like, my wife showed me a video of her this morning that my mum had sent. I couldn't even watch it, bro, because I was getting so like, no, I need to get there, right? So anyway, everybody's got everybody's got the urgency of their goals that they want to achieve. But what you can end up doing is that you're trying so hard to make things better for the people you look after, especially your children, that before you know it, your children have already grown up. Your children, you've already the ship has already sailed for a lot of their interests, a lot of their, I've got a thing on my phone now, iPhone update. Have you got an iPhone, by the way? I was always thinking this yesterday. Okay, one of the iPhone things now is like you can do these dynamic backgrounds, wallpapers, and one of them is you can set people. So the iPhone will automatically detect people's faces and group them into things. So group them into a collective. So like Suleiman will have all the photos connected to Suleiman. Yes, all the photos connected. So I'm probably butchering this, but essentially the wallpaper will shuffle between Suleiman, Ilyas, Khalil, like pictures of them. And every time, and I've got it set so every time I unlock my phone, it's a different photo. But because of that, I'm getting photos here where Suleiman looked like Ilyas, or Ilyas looks like Khalil, or like the age. It's like, oh my God. And I'll have a phone, I'll show my wife, but oh my God, look how young he looked. Like, crikey, what's going on? Especially when I've got a 3-month-old, I've got a 3-year-old, and I've got a 5-year-old. But you forget that the 5-year-old actually was 3 months at one point. Do you understand what I mean? You forget that. But when you see the photo, you're like, oh my God, they looked exactly the same. What's going on? Yeah. So what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is that time goes really quickly, and before you know it, the ship sails on a lot of things. And I don't want to have achieved my goal at the expense of missing out on my child's childhood. So striking a balance is really important. And I think with hustle culture, with the go-getter attitude that's very popular, with the front row, which is another endeavor to try and get people to achieve their goals, I think it's also important not to miss out on the things that can easily be missed out on, which is the connections, the obligations towards our family. You could say, oh, I'm going to hustle so hard, like every single minute or every single hour outside of work, I'm going to go for my goal, like the kind of pursuit of happiness kind of thing, or these single guys that have no family obligations or whatever that you see on Instagram and stuff, that like the way they edit their videos is like, oh, from dawn till dusk, I'm hustling, because they haven't got this obligation, or this religious obligation even, to check in on their family, or check in on, or to go visit, or to engage with their children, or whatever it is. So it's about fitting all of that in the 24 hours you have in a day, as well as the ibadah, as well as the work for the ummah, as well as the work for the wider community. It's part of the accountability. One of my things would be like, to you, for example, if I was your accountability coach, is like, oh, I wouldn't be concerned too much about your ability to achieve your XYZ goal, but I would be on your case about, oh, when was the last time you took your son out, or when was the last time you sat with him? Because people don't necessarily talk about that as much as I think they should in a hustle culture, because it's easy, like I said, to want to provide the best for your kids, but while simultaneously missing out on them at the same time. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I've just rambled.
I think you have to have certain minimum non-negotiable things in certain areas of your life, right? For example, exercise. It could be some parts of your life, sometimes some phases of your life, you're not making it to the gym at all, or doing any sports or whatever, right? But can you do X thousand steps per day? Mm-hmm. Could you even put that into your day where it's like, well, you're going to walk to work anyway, let me just walk a bit further, and now I'm doing 8,000 steps a day or whatever, yeah?
Right, yeah.
So like a non-negotiable for that. With your ibadah, I mean, it's hard to limit that really, but the minimum, of course, is the salah, is the, your Ramadan, is the maybe a bit of Quran, maybe it's 5 ayahs a day, like Quranly allows you to aim for and stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
It could be dua when you're on the way home from work, which you're already doing. So minimum things. With your kids, some people, they say, I've got to put my kids to bed every night. Some people say, I need to play with my kids 30 minutes a day. I need to read with my kids 1 hour a day, whatever it is. So have the minimums in place and be rigid with the minimums. But then I do think there's going to be phases of life and seasons where you do the minimums and seasons where you do the maximums.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you have to also have check-ins, regular check-ins. So let's say you're doing the minimum with your kids because you're trying to get into a financial situation where ultimately you can spend more time with your kids, right?
Yeah.
Now, you could say, look, I'm actively choosing to sacrifice that maximum stuff with my kids because of that longer term goal.
Right.
But you should probably have a 6-month check-in to make sure that you haven't got lost in that.
Yeah.
thing.
100%.
Yeah. So I think like that. I think like those kind of things. Like even, you know, a lot of the like kind of friends I have, they're very much like, mashallah, the people I mix with, they're like talking gobbledygook when it comes to Sharia and usul al-fiqh and this, and I don't know what they're talking about, okay?
Right.
And that's because a lot of the time it's because when I was like obsessed with business, they were obsessed with, you know, Risala or whatever, you know, these books and this.
Yeah.
So they're obsessed with that, and I was obsessed with that. Sounds pretty dumb. Sounds like I made the wrong choice. Anyway, so they had that as a phase of their life, right? Because those guys, same guys now, they're not studying as much as they were before, right? So that was a phase of their life, a season.
Right. Yeah.
And now they have a different season, right? So for me, like when I hear that or when I'm with those brothers, I do, at the very minimum, it wakes me up to my lack of knowledge in certain areas. But then also it's like, well, you're feeling a certain way that you don't have that knowledge, but you chose, that's a decision you made, right?
Yeah.
And if you really feel like that you're lacking on that, then you can make that a phase of your life. You can have a season where this is Talab al-Ilm season. Yeah. If that is, you know, you sit down and you think about, you know, what you're trying to do and it fits in and it makes sense. But you don't have to be that guy. You need to be the guy that it is all aligned with the right things, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So like for me, like, you know, Noor, I was talking to Noor and he said, oh, are there Marakiz here, you know, like places to study Sharia and stuff? And I was like, yeah. But I haven't really been to any of them. And then he's like, why? And I was like, well, I don't have that as a strict goal, Yani, to be honest, for myself. I did certain basic studies. I got a surface level view of the Sharia kind of sciences. And now for what I want to do, I think I need to focus on seerah and tafsir.
Right.
And my own ibadah, yani, pushing myself.
Yeah.
So what that means then is when it comes to fiqh or there's like usul al-fiqh and certain sciences, I'm actually admitting and accepting that I'm going to stay at this level for now.
Yeah.
You know, so it requires like kind of confidence and advice to say that sometimes.
No, 100%. And I'm in full agreement. And I think we are in a time where I've seen some shuyukh speaking about this, where the popularization of seeking knowledge, and I'm not dismissing or dissing anybody that's their goal to seek knowledge, but they say, the shuyukh I was listening to said it's become a bit of a trend, for example, and there's a culture behind it, especially online and stuff. However, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but the only thing I would say is wrong is when you're shaming other people with different goals. I think the tree of good deeds is one that doesn't have one kind of fruit. You know, the tree of good deeds has almost an infinite amount of options, you know, an infinite amount of fruits for different people to pick from, right? One person attains good deeds seeking knowledge. The other person attains good deeds cleaning up a sidewalk. Like, one, you could memorize a particular book, for example, and get a certain amount of hasanat. But another deed that's completely separate from seeking knowledge, in the right context at the right time, could be worth more than that. Do you understand what I mean? You can't, as an outsider who doesn't know ilm al-ghaib, doesn't have the knowledge that Allah possesses, be able to put a number, a point system on this good deed versus that one. Because context is different, people's situations are different, people's abilities are different, people's times in their lives are different. So you saying that, right, I'm not going to go for that at this stage, but this is what I want to focus on because X, Y, Z, there's good deeds in that for you. And based on the context, based on who you help, based on the barakah that Allah puts in it, based on the spread of the benefit, it could be, immeasurable. My father, for example, never studied, as far as I know, never studied, for example, in a Sharia institute, whatever you want to call it. All right. But he's definitely planted a million things. Do you know what I mean? Definitely planted a million things. At one point, fed the country, bro. Fed the UK. He used to work in horticulture, so vegetables, growing fruits and vegetables as part of like the UK sort of thing. So think of all the people he fed. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So not everybody has to be a student knowledge, but we and there's nothing. Allah knows best, but there's nothing wrong with saying with managing your expectations and managing yourself and your ability and saying, this is what I want to focus on. I want to really push this because there's a need for this. I see a need for this. I need to give it my all. And you can't give everything. Like Mufti talks about it a lot. People ask him questions. Can I want to be a student of knowledge, but I also want to do this particular job as a career. How do you advise me on doing both? And he'll be like, no, you can't do it. Like, give it justice. Whatever you're going to do, give it the justice it deserves. Give it the time it deserves. Because this might take 8 hours and this might take 8 hours. But if you give 4 hours to both, you've achieved nothing in either. So, yeah.
Everyone has to. How do I say it? There are so many times, it happens multiple times a week or a month, where I realized that Allah saved me from something because he gave me certain knowledge of the Sharia.
Yeah.
Okay? So I cannot downplay the benefit of even having my basic level.
Right.
I can't, it just would be insincere for me to downplay it, But I am at a basic level, okay? Which means that, anyone could kind of achieve that. But basically, no one should say, I'm not learning anything about Allah, what Allah said, what his messenger said. You can't be saying that level of, I'm not studying. Can you say, I'm not going to become a specialist in a science? Yeah, you can say that. As a Muslim, you can say that.
100%. Yeah.
But knowledge of Allah, what Allah said and what the Prophet ﷺ said, which basically is just like reading the Quran or reading the tafsir or reading the translation or reading hadith or reading explanation of the hadith or reading the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. This everyone has to be doing, even if it's once a week, once a this, once a that. Everyone has to be doing that. And then what exactly you choose to do, it might depend on what you're trying to do. Are you a parent? Yeah. Are you a teacher at school? This and that. There's one guy, mashallah, he's a teacher, and he was given freedom to develop a kind of curriculum. And I don't know what he studied, but just from hearing him speak, he's very knowledgeable, mashallah. And that contributed him to making an amazing kind of social studies curriculum. Or the embedded in it is like destroying liberalism, destroying this, destroying that, establishing, the proofs for Allah's existence and this and that. And so as a teacher, that stuff really helped, So it depends what you're doing and all of that.
No, 100%. 100%. I think what I don't like is like the pointing and shaming of people who may have not, maybe focusing on something else, but as long as it's something of benefit, right?
The other thing, actually, the other thing that I just remembered that I say often, well, I don't know, maybe on the podcast, maybe to my wife, I don't know, is that ultimately, bro, the difference between the good Muslims and the bad Muslims, Okay.
Ooh.
A lot of the
Ooh.
time. Yeah. A lot of the time is knowledge.
Hmm.
It's literally just knowledge. Like if I'm going to get along with someone if I'm going to get along with someone, they need a little sprinkling of knowledge of Islam.
Yeah.
Because I realize that when someone has studied a little bit or here and there, and even in childhood or even, they're a different person. It's like there's two categories of Muslims, Yani.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how that makes a really, really big difference.
No, of course. And at the end of the day, there's also timeless principles that every Muslim should know as well. For example, one of the key ones that you'd be surprised, actually, maybe not, we won't be surprised, is that there's a Muslim who says, I don't know, but I know who can tell me. You know, I don't know what to do here, but I know who I can ask. Sheikh so-and-so or Stead so-and-so, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the other one that goes, oh, I know, because this is how I feel. I feel like Allah would want this, so actually I'm going to do this. How many times I spoke to someone, tried to advise and be like, yeah, I don't agree with that. I think Allah would actually want this for me, so I'm going to do this, right? The amount of times I've heard Muslims say that, even in conversation, it's very frustrating. But it's such a base principle that actually, if you've never even come across that principle, of course you would think, oh yeah, I know what God wants for me because I have a connection, a special personal connection with God. So whatever feels right, yeah, that's God inspiring me to or guiding me. Like, oh,
that's
I know
what I'm
myself.
saying. Knowledge is a
good about it.
lifesaver.
Yeah, 100%. No, 100%.
Knowledge is
But
a lifesaver.
the base principle of knowledge, to even embark upon seeking knowledge, even on the minuscule level, you need to know where to go.
Yeah.
Like, step one is knowing who to ask. Who's going to teach you? Where shall I go?
Yeah.
So that is a fundamental first step, I think. And as long as that's right, if you've got that down, that if I do not know something, I will go to such and such, or this to X. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you do not know. Then you're off to the great start, because even if you don't know anything, you come across something, you're faced with two options. Oh, actually, let me go check. Let me go find out. As opposed to, well, I know what Allah would want for me. It feels good to go for this, so I'm going to go for this. Allah wouldn't want to make it difficult for me, so X, Y, Z is fine for me.
Yeah.
That's
one of
really
those
important.
top of the pops ones.
100%.
يريد الله بكم اليسر.
Yeah. You reminded me of something else. Yeah. Someone told me years ago.
Well, this is a very common card played.
Yeah, they'll say, oh...
Because Arabs know these bits of Quran and stuff, innit?
And they'll chuck him in there. Yeah, they were like, listen, just whatever's the easiest option, that's the one you need to go for, because Allah wants what's easy for you. And I was like, okay. Anyway, yeah, you know what? May Allah help us, bro.
But bro, we're new. We're new to this. We've been separated from our knowledge, I feel, from colonization. Like, some of the ignorance you find in, not to upset anyone, but in the non-Arabic speaking countries, especially, there's a lot of complete ignorance of Quran and Sunnah because of maybe language barrier and this and that.
Yeah.
But I do not believe it was the case before colonization. You can imagine that the colonization, obviously tried to separate people from their religion and from the language, even from Arabic. Like, maybe outside the Arab world, there was more Arabic before, but it's like, no, Arabic is linked to Islam, not allowed. And even your language books that are linked to Islam, not allowed. And so after colonization, people need to now reconnect with that knowledge maybe that they used to have before colonization.
And there's still big endeavors to get that done now. I mean, here we go. I've Googled this quickly. Hopefully to bring it up. Oh, go, because this, not that we're going to make the whole thing, this. Oh. Okay, I'll just read it out. France launches new body aiming to reshape Islam. Dozens of influential Muslim figures were handpicked by the government to take part in the new, the page disappeared, in the new Forum of Islam. Critics say is an attempt by French President Emmanuel
Macron.
Anyway, I was going to make fun of his name, but I couldn't. Emmanuel Macron to gain right-wing support. And essentially, it's like, it reminds me of the colonization era. We'll cherry pick the parts of Islam that we like, that will keep you guys tame and manageable and obedient to us as colonizers. Exactly. And everything else gets burned and thrown away, and you belong to us now. And it's the same, but it's from the other side of the fence, so to speak. So yeah, not to get deeply into politics and all that stuff, but yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. There has been that disconnect. I remember when I was in Tunisia feeling that disconnect, thinking, subhanallah. And then that's obviously, there's all sorts of things that lead to extremism. It's not just people in a bubble that lead to extremism. It's outside influence, outside conspiracy. I don't disregard inside jobs and all that stuff. I think that stuff is completely valid. If I was a leader of some corrupt government, I would probably think, let me just do a little inside job here and I'll sort out my problem, right? Like, create a problem, create a solution, right? But I see the element that after 50 to 100 years of ignorance, people know that Islam is the right way. When they're given the freedom to practice Islam, everybody practices it how they think they should, as opposed to what they should based on knowledge. And then you've got all sorts of extremities arising because nobody knows the nuances, nobody knows the specifics, nobody knows the Sharia in detail, the contextual necessities for certain hukums, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be chaotic, and that's what you have. That's what happens, especially when you've got freedom with no leadership, especially Islamic leadership, or I'm not talking about just government. I'm talking about on the ground, like people of knowledge, or
mature, wise leadership.
Places that people can go to. Actually, I remember 2011 or whatever, after Arab Spring, Tunisia was wild with it. The police were scared because they didn't want anything else happening again. And I was literally sitting in the masjid with some of the locals, and they were like, some of them were practicing, and they were like pointing out people to me not to talk to because, that guy over there, he's a bit extreme, like be careful. And that guy over there, and I'm a fish out of water, bro. I'm just on a holiday, but I'm practicing, I'm sitting there. But anyone could come up to me and convince me of a madness. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that governments and stuff don't make mistakes or make bad decisions or have malicious decisions. I'm also saying that there's a big level of ignorance that can cause people to commit crime, to commit heinous acts that then have to be dealt with. Whether that is joining such and such group and committing, crimes and whatever. So, in the name of Islam, or flying a banner of Islam, so to speak. So yeah, ignorance is the source of a lot of these problems, and the inability to take advice or take counsel or take, nasiha, etc., from people of knowledge, or to even go to them in the first place, right? It is actually, you're right, bro. Going back to it, the source of a lot of ummah problems from all ranges, from the poor man, the layman, to the hakim, if you want to go that far, is a lack of knowledge and a lack of application of said knowledge. So maybe I should rewind back on what I said a little bit. And yes, there is an importance, no doubt, on a base level of knowledge and a base level of knowing where to go to get your questions answered.
And also, if you're on that base level, to keep your mouth shut, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's as they say, half of knowledge, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember. You know what, bro? Remember when we were? I don't know about you, but I remember being 10 years ago on Twitter, 2012, starting out, and as with many people, very maybe not. I might not have been vocally critical, but maybe I thought about, why is it with all these speakers and du'at and stuff, they're not talking about this particular issue here. They're not arguing about this issue that I'm arguing with. I'm arguing with this person about this, and we see it now. Like, there could be this fitna going on. You never see them arguing. You never see them debating people or whatever. Why aren't getting involved in this? The speakers are silent about such and such, silent about such and such. And now that you're older, you realize, okay, I get it. Right? Like, what did I say earlier? It's like, I'm just going to ruin myself if I start getting involved in this stuff. And you see grown men getting involved in this stuff, du'at getting involved in this stuff, and just ruining all the good works that they've done because they've decimated any goodwill that they created. They've decimated any influence they've created because they've sunken into this hellhole of vicious debating, and not even debating, but like it morphs into, I don't know, it morphs into name calling and villainous.
Ego, basically.
Yeah, it morphs into something that actually you start to question I question myself, and I think, when I engaged in this kind of behavior before, did I legitimately look at the other party, the other Muslim party, and want good for them? Did I speak to them as if they were my Muslim brother? Or did I, somewhere deep down inside, throw them off Islam completely, which enabled me to call them these names? You know, when you're calling Muslims, you know, simps or the youths or cucks or whatever, all these derogatory words, which I absolutely despise. But when you're calling Muslims that, especially Muslims that may have, you know, done a lot of good, like du'at, for example, they've done a lot of good, or shuyukh that have done a lot of good for their communities and stuff, do you actually still care about their honor? Isn't safeguarding a Muslim's honor part of the things that we should be doing? But what we're doing actually is decimating each other in front of the world, an audience that actually might not be Muslim. You know, anybody can come across your page or your platform that isn't Muslim. It's not like Muslim Twitter or Muslim YouTube is this enclosed haram, so to speak, that only Muslims can enter, right? Everybody can see us killing each other verbally and decimating each other. Let alone Yawm al-Qiyamah, you got all these deeds stacked up against you for calling this person this and calling this person that, and without professionally debating or professionally having a discussion, or even moving that discussion privately and let's have a chat about it. Okay, that's your view, this is my view, I'm going to carry on trying to do the good I can do, you do the good you can do, and leave it at that. Now we've got to decimate each other online and get the clicks and get the clickbait and get the views and react to this and sit down and laugh about this and laugh about this person and blah blah blah. And we may have been guilty of doing the same thing on some level on Mind Heist as well. And I just want to get away from that. I just want to get away from that completely. And now, at this tender age of 29, I realize why a lot of the speakers of the past, or in my past, didn't talk so openly about those kind of things, didn't name call people and drag people online and say such and such said this, so here's my response to that, and he's a mug and he's an idiot. Do you know, I start calling names anyway.
Shaitan's stupid.
Apart from Shaitan, you can
I defeated Shaitan once.
Anyway, maybe I'm what are your thoughts on that? Actually, I need to get your thoughts on all that spiel. Come on.
I think
you're the guy, though. You're the guy that makes those YouTube videos.
I haven't been making those types, but
no, not those types specifically.
I think there is space for kind of both of what you said, in terms of sometimes I think these speakers that you're talking about are silent when they shouldn't be silent. I do think that happens.
Yeah.
I also think that sometimes there is a time to call someone out or correct something publicly.
Yeah.
It's just that time when it should be done is much less frequent than it actually happens. And also the manners with which people refer to each other and stuff, talk to each other, discuss, are not to the level that we would hope for.
That's that's the main one. That is the main one. Because the way that some people talk about others, it's almost like they're not even Muslim anymore, right? It's the free pass that you have now to just call them whatever you want is like, you know, like when like that's the kind of speech I just don't.
I'll tell you what muddies the waters.
Go on.
What muddies the waters is that correcting someone or criticizing someone or debating with someone, it's maybe by its nature, but especially when it's on YouTube and these platforms, it becomes a form of entertainment. It's not a form of education. So you can imagine that if I wrote a booklet which was commenting on someone else's booklet and critiquing it, that would very, very much be seen as educational. But when it's a video, or even a Facebook post or whatever, it takes on a level where it's like entertainment here. And what comes with entertainment is flowery language, being very creative with the insults, with the adjectives you use, and making honestly, like making you chuckle when you read it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a very, maybe a modern thing. It's an internet thing. It's an American thing. It's a Hollywood thing. It's a, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone wants a bit of a laugh and entertainment. But to feel like, I'm getting a little bit of that Islamic education at the same time. You know?
Yeah, and it's almost like, you know, you sharing this, liking this, producing this, putting it out there. It's like, I've achieved something here for the deen right now, you know.
Yeah. So people are, if I'm on YouTube, most people are on YouTube for entertainment. People on Instagram for entertainment. So now, as a, you know, if I want to say I'm doing da'wah, I need to, you know, the what's it called? Neil Postman. The medium is the message, right?
Yeah.
So I need to blend in to that whole entertainment thing. And how do I do that now? I need to be witty, and I need to, you know, all that stuff. Also drama. I need a bit of drama, because that's what is required on the medium. It's a bit of drama.
Although,
like, you know, that whole thing. If X is going to happen, and if it doesn't, I'll shave my hair off.
Yeah.
It's that drama. It's that, what is going to happen?
Suspense. Yeah.
It's like, I will debate you on this thing. If you disagree, I'll debate you on it. It's like that drama. Entertainment.
You know what's bad as well? I could be wrong in this assumption, but a lot of Muslims that are on YouTube, they don't run ads. Okay, they don't have a direct monetary thing coming in.
Yeah.
So for non-Muslims that are trying to create drama, trying to get views, etc., one could argue, well, it's benefiting their bank balance. So of course, there's that incentive. Yeah. Imagine when you're not even getting a direct income from this. All you're getting is views and clout, and you still are desperate for it. It's even worse, I think. It's even worse that we're using that. I'm not making a sweeping statement of every single person on YouTube. Of course, I'm not. What I am doing is saying that, you've hit the nail on the head about the adab, about the manners. You know, I can respectfully listen to somebody critique somebody else's point of view, and I will benefit from that. And it can be there's particular brothers that do that. Khalid Green, for example, I'll put him on the spot. Khalid Green is a Ustad that I listen to occasionally, and he has in the past spoken about people. You know, such and such made this statement. I disagree with this statement because X, Y, Z. It's a long start to finish video. There's no cuts, no nothing. It's boring to the masses, you know, but it articulates his point across with adab, with humility. We wish the best for this brother, etc., etc. Fair play, and you're passing qualified to do so as well. Just like many of these brothers are qualified in their fields, no doubt. But it's the mess that comes afterwards, right? It's the not afterwards, but others that may engage in it. It's that this guy's an imbecile, this guy's an idiot, this guy's a simp, this guy's a this guy's a that, this guy's a blah blah blah, and this and that. And it's like, oh my goodness, do you want the best for this, bro? Have you lost the goal? What was the goal? It was the goal to care about this Muslim individual so much that you want to bring them back to what you believe is the haqq and his audience? Or is it about decimating him in front of your own audience to entertain them? Like, has the care and compassion gone? At what point did your intentions shift? Were your intentions ever in the right place in the first place? That real care about, like, bro, if you saw me up to something like a madness, you caught me doing something, or I posted something crazy, right? What would you do? First thing you would do, honestly,
message you. Yeah,
you message me. I'm not saying they don't. I don't know if they've messaged people or not. Okay, you messaged me once, it doesn't work. You messaged me twice, it doesn't work. It's still going on publicly. Would you make a public video about me? When would you do that? At what point would you make a public video about me? And look, this is our relationship. Judge our relationship as it is right now. At what point would you make a public video about me if I came out tomorrow and I said, I don't know, what can I say? Alcohol is fine, actually, and I'm drinking it on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like, eventually you might have to, because you need to distance yourself from me and say, listen, this is bad, or whatever it is. But I think, judging by your relationship with me, you would try very hard with me.
Maybe we discuss it on Mind Heist.
Maybe. But it would be a long kind of effort
Yeah.
That level of care, I believe we should try and have with every Muslim brother and sister that's out there. Because
Yeah, but you know what makes it more complicated is sometimes it's about telling that person to fix up, and sometimes it's about, oh, but the audience has seen it, so now I need to clarify for the audience. That complicates, isn't it?
yeah, I just don't know how much of that is ever achieved, because audiences are like fan bases. The loudest people on the audience, the ones that you think the only people you're ever going to see you have an impact on are going to be the ones that leave the comments. And most of the time, the ones that leave the comments are already set in stone and who they support and stuff, with the odd one here and there. But
I think most of the time it's just for the most part, don't critique other people's opinion. Just teach your opinion or share your opinion. And I don't know what else you can do. I know people get very frustrated about, like, you know, for some of these people that criticize feminism, for example, and then, or feminism or feminist leaning women or whatever it is, yeah. Those women, they must get so frustrated. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's like, come on, we're trying to like this cause, and we've been working on this cause, and we're making some progress, but these guys won't budge, and they're in the way of progress and all of that. You get so frustrated.
Yeah.
But like, and it's like, it's 2023 and these men still think like this and blah, all of that, yeah.
Right, yeah.
But ultimately, like, they can't change people's mind actually at all, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like they can't. So like, maybe what they can do, like I'm saying, teach what you think is the right thing. And when people are curious, or when people are like open to it, open-minded, they might come across it, they might watch it, it might work. You know, maybe do it in a convincing way, do it in a catchy way. But yeah, I don't know if debating...
Imagine putting out a piece of content that you worked 5 hours on, okay?
Okay.
You changed nobody's mind.
Yeah.
But all you've done is gain, say, ads for insulting XYZ person, you know? That would just be so redundant. I'm not saying, okay, we should give up. I'm not.
I do genuinely think this is very complicated.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And that's why it's hard to just say that's the right thing. Because I think like it's like you're mostly right now focusing on the people that criticize others, for example, yeah.
But not but to specify even more, and I think you manifested my thoughts a bit clearer, which was more about the insults, the adab, the lack of treating this person as a Muslim anymore. Because if he's a kafir and you're confident to say he's a kafir, I don't know, fill your boots. There's nothing to do with me. But when it's the honor of a Muslim, then uphold that honor. Advise whilst upholding that honor. And don't make, if they've really embarrassed themselves, don't make it worse than it needs to be. Don't make it worse than it already is. You know?
But I guess this also comes down to, you made me realize, it comes down to the quote unquote fan base as well, or just the audience out there, is that when I've seen that kind of behavior from people, they, how do you say in English? You know, like they fall from my eye. You know, طيح من عيني, like.
Yeah, of course.
Well, how do you say that?
Their reputation has dropped in your eyes, for example.
Yeah, so, okay, hold up. Like, I didn't write a comment. I didn't let you know. I am hereby withdrawing my support for you. No, but in my head, like, I saw you do that behavior. Okay, you're like that. Oh, okay, I get you. I put you in that category now.
Yeah.
So if people did that, then these clowns wouldn't get that support. But they do get the support because people see that, and they don't just they're not just disappointed by it, they're actually encouraged by it, and they like it and they encourage it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And that shows that they're at not the right place as well.
And I think you've got to be mature enough, and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, you've got to be mature enough to make your own decisions about what's acceptable manners-wise. Because, look, I wouldn't have seen this stuff if I wasn't following these people in the first place. Okay, so I was following these people. I was complicit in encouraging all the growth of that platform, and then I started seeing stuff like this I wasn't a fan of, and I really didn't like. And you know what? as much as I thought, oh, I should reply to this and say this. Honestly, my first thought was actually, I might reply to this and say this is unacceptable language, blah, blah, blah. I thought, do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to do that. I'm going to get absolutely stormed by the however many thousand people that are, fangirling over this individual, this statement, or retweeting this, or whatever it is. I said, you know what? All I'm going to do is what's going to benefit me the most. I'm just going to quit. I'm blocking. I'm leaving. I don't want to be part of this audience anymore. I don't want to be part of this. There's a lot of benefit you brought to the table, but at the moment, this is what you're focusing on. And maybe if you change in the future, I'll come back. But right now, this isn't doing much for my mind. It's actually just causing me anxiety.
Yeah, and if everyone acted like that, then maybe certain people have less audience, and then they might realize it's not the right way. And
but that's the conflict, isn't it? It's like, okay, do I get involved and say, try and tell this person that's not right?
It fully comes down to whether you believe it will have a positive effect or not.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It fully comes down to that.
Yeah,
and that is again a hard call to make. It's hard to judge.
Yeah, no.
My default position is I'm not changing anyone's mind over the internet.
Yeah,
I can change someone's mind in a call, in a conversation, in a face-to-face, but over comments or messages, I can't. So I don't even play that game generally.
Yeah, it's the nuance of a conversation like this at length for an hour and a half that may have an impact on somebody to change their mind. But a 240 character reply isn't going to really do the job.
Yeah. That's my default. I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Which is kind of like feels bad because so there's billions of people online and there's all these people there that are saying wrong things, and you're saying just don't say anything. And I'm like, well, I don't think it works.
Do you know what though? Arguably,
yeah.
In retrospect, there has been times where people have tweeted at me something, and I've sat on it, and I think I've mentioned it before. Wasn't there one recently we spoke about? Somebody messaged me privately about something, and it was like something that was going viral that I tweeted or whatever. Yeah, that's what it was. I think I mentioned it before. I was calling out some Muslim brothers' double standards. He said one thing, he did something else, right? Yeah. And it was going a bit viral, and people were seeing it, and blah blah blah. And someone messaged me and said, "Oh, like, I get it, but is this really beneficial?" And blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And I remember sitting on it for like maybe 4 or 5 hours, and I thought, you know what? Nah, okay, it's still getting retweeted and viral. I'm deleting this. I don't like that. He's right. And I actually tried to make another tweet, kind of clarifying that.
Well, I think that's possible with the average person. Maybe, like you don't have a huge following. Yeah, but if someone has a huge following, I think it's unlikely that they will even pay attention. And
it'd have to be someone close to them, maybe.
Yeah, you could say, I'm going to DM the person, but they don't read their DMs because they got 1,000 of them.
I guess so. Yeah.
So that's why for these bigger people, I think it's better to just leave it.
It's hard work, isn't it? It's hard work. I think that those people are hard work, man. I can't deal with it.
First world problem.
You were saying earlier about goals and stuff, just to wrap up, but my goal really does truly sit with my family at the moment. And I know some people have come up to me and said, "What are you doing for the community? The wider Muslim community in your area?" I'm like, I'll be honest, probably not much at all. I might donate some money here and there, but I haven't got the time. But what I do focus on, in my immediate, like I said, the goals I have at the moment, the family that I'm trying to help, I'd like to think that tomorrow, Yawm al-Qiyamah, I'll find some reward there, bi'idhnillah. All right. And there's people that I believe that are out there in the community that have way more capacity to help the community than I may have. And I would like to encourage them and encourage people that can do so. And wider goals. There's people that want to change the world. There's people that want to change the world. More power to them if they believe they can do that. But I want to, like you said, one step at a time. You said that, for example, that studying Sharia in a deeper way isn't your goal right now. But one day it could be. One day when you've achieved X, Y, Z, you might say, okay, I've got all this time, man. My kids are older. I'm going to go and sit at the feet of the scholars. Why not? So,
there's seasons in life. Saying no to something now doesn't mean saying no to it forever.
100%.
Obviously, we don't know when we'll die, but that's why you need to have that minimum ibadah and all that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, bro. I'm debating whether I should go straight to bed or I should hit this carrot cake and baklava.
Wow. You really are Turkish.
It's 11:15.
I might go to the gymnasium.
I'm exhausted. I slept at 3 a.m. yesterday. Had a webinar.
Bro. It's not that deep. Man
It's
up.
not. Yeah.
Bro, not to extend you even longer. I saw this clip of, I forgot her name. There's this North Korean defector that was on Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Like last year. I don't know if you've ever seen the clip of it. Anyway, I started listening to the podcast, but it was from a year ago. Bro, the way people live, the struggles that people have. Just talk about rats eating people's eyeballs on the street because because of starvation and malnutrition, and the way that society is there, and nobody owns anything. You can't grow anything. You can't. Bro, I was just like, this can't be real. And then the more I listened, I was like, she's not making this up, is she? Like, you know when you can tell someone's like actually lying, but then I was like, no, this can't be true. And then the way she's talking, and the specific details, and then the way he'd ask a question and she'd just know the answer like that straight away without having to make it up. Although she'd say she wouldn't know something and he would. I was like, oh my God, you know what? Yeah, there's people that are out there that don't know anything about the first world, so to speak, you know, that are literally living in absolute, the closest thing you get to hell on earth, right? Without it actually being Jahannam, obviously. And I'm like, who am I to complain about anything, man? Who am I to complain about anything? You know, Khali, just the earthquakes that happened, you know, not too far from you. And then another set of earthquakes happened a couple of days ago, you know. Yeah. So 2023, I'm trying not to complain. Ever. It's quite tough. But that's one of the goals. Put it on your list. Put it on your list of the front row. Anyway, I'll let you get to sleep, bro. Enjoy your cake.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm going to skip it.
Good.
Okay, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Salam.